right, everybody, you already know what's going down. It is your host, Calvin Thomas Dittmeyer. There's an H in my middle name. I'm going to use it, baby. That's what it's about. That's why it's there. It's not Thomas. If it was Thomas, it'd be Tomas. No, there's an H in there, and I'm using it today. So now this is episode 2 of It Got Worse. Hopefully, the sound's better than the first one. I am already tracking that the first one doesn't have the best audio. I was using my gaming headset, guys. But hey, listen, I've got a mic now. Maybe things get better. Uh-oh. What if they don't? And I know what you're thinking today. Calvin, what are you going to talk about, man? Your life is so great. You always strive. You're a hard worker. I just want to let you know, you right at times. But this is my podcast for me to give you the womp womps about my life. Sometimes it's a big deal. Sometimes it's not. And so, today's topic's really going to be like growing up in, middle school, high school, and my 2 attempts at college. And you're just going to get a deeper understanding of who I am, especially being the youngest of 6 kids. My 2 parents, they really did everything they could to provide for us, and I don't hold any grudges on them, because just being an adult now, I can barely take care of myself, and so I'm just so impressed on how well they did, how hard my dad worked. My mom just got her doctor's degree. I mean, that's sick. That's crazy. But this episode's not going to be about them yet. But shout out to them, love them to death, and let's get into it. So, in elementary school, I kind of bounced around from public, private, homeschool, and we weren't savages yet. When I had a friend, I had a friend. No, there were no bullies. There were disagreements. There were arguments, and then all of a sudden, I'm in a different school. I didn't stay anywhere long enough to have like an enemy or something. I didn't know what that was. I was a pretty young, dumb kid, gullible. And it's funny because that public school I went to in elementary school, when I had left to go to the private school, and then shortly after that was homeschool. I kind of remember who was there. It was kindergarten and first grade that I did public school, and then show up to middle school in 6th grade. So these kids haven't seen me for 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, and 5th grade. And I walk in this English class, and I see somebody like I kind of remember. And he walks up to me. He goes, "Dude, we thought you were dead. We heard that you had moved. We had heard that you had died. We had heard all these rumors. Like, we all loved sitting next to you in 1st grade during the spelling tests, because it turns out I'm a yapper. Turns out when I was spelling those words, I was saying those letters out loud, and some of those people caught on. Those smart individual bastards, they caught on." And I was like, "Oh wow, I didn't know I did that. Like, I had no idea." And that was like the first introduction. Okay, all right, middle school, all right, Texas, sick, love Texas. Didn't know how middle school was gonna be for me, and so it didn't start off to a bad start. But hey, it is what it is. So what? Okay. First kiss, 6th grade. I'm on the bus. It's my birthday, and I'm talking with my friends, and they're talking about their first kiss. They're telling their stories, and I didn't have one. And this girl, she looks at me and she goes, "You've never had a kiss before?" I said, "No." She's like, "Do you want to have your first kiss?" I didn't know what to think. I froze. Oh my! I was more frozen than the North Pole could ever be, and That's how I felt. You thought I paused because I was like pausing the podcast or something. No, like that's how I felt. And I shook my head up and down. I didn't even say a word. And she said, "Close your eyes." And I did. And then I opened them and she was kissing me. And I had this like adrenaline rush, you know. She's getting rosy red, and I couldn't believe it. I felt like a man that day. I went home, chest out, chin high, you know. Hey, world. Really, five siblings and two parents, three dogs. At one point, we had a horse, you know, that we had, like, my dad built a pen for. I'm walking in that house, and fortunately, I was the youngest, so I was always like one of the first ones home. So no one was really there except for the animals, and I'm like, that's right, hell yeah, I got my first kiss. Cha-ching! I thought that's the best it could get. I didn't think that there was anything more. I was so innocent as a kid, and that innocence, kind of gave me that integrity where I was just gonna tell you the truth no matter what. And I got some good friends to this day because I hold on to that, and it was values that my parents taught me growing up that I hung on to, and I think honesty is the best policy. And that was my first kiss, everybody. A couple months go by, and uh-oh, what story am I gonna tell next? I already let you know. My first fight. My first fist fight. Yeah, we've all been there. Some people get it done early. Some people get a fist fight in elementary school. I never saw that. Never. I'm not a fighter at this point. I'm in sixth grade. A couple months ago, I had just found out what a kiss was, and that was the best thing ever. I wasn't allowed to date growing up. Still had those girlfriends though. Those really short relationships where it's all puppy love, and then all of a sudden you hate each other and you gossip about each other. That's all I knew. That's the worst fight I could ever think of. But that's I'm no longer in elementary school where there's these guardrails up and teachers are paying attention. I'm in this middle school where eh, there were so many kids you couldn't pay attention to everybody. It wasn't like you were in one class the whole time and you could figure out who didn't like each other, who did, and like sit next to each other or not. So like you could keep it. No, you had 6, 7 different periods of school. Transferring around, transferring the halls, bumping into each other. The halls were so packed, and so let's get down into this story. So there I am sitting on the bus, and again, I ain't ever been bullied a day in my life at this point. I think like people like crack jokes, but I didn't think I was getting bullied. Um, my definition of getting bullied is different than anyone's, and I don't want to put yours down, but like it's truly to this point, like my bullies were like my older siblings, and they were also like the people that I idolized growing up. My oldest brother, um, definitely idolized him, and especially at this point where I knew he was cool in high school, and I was like, well, if I act like him, I'll be cool in middle school. Turns out that's not the case. Anyways, let's get back to this story. So I'm sitting on the bus, and we're headed back from school one day, and I'm just yapping with my friends, having a good time, talking about what happened that day. What was the hot goss? That gossip. What was that student telling that teacher? Is he a snitch? I'm learning the ways of being a normal kid growing up in San Antonio, Texas. And so I'm just sitting there, and all of a sudden I feel a hand grab the left side of my face and bash it in the window. The first one, it wasn't a hard bash, but it was definitely surprising. And I turn around, and it was like this eighth grader, and I'm like, what? That's weird. Like, what was that? That doesn't make sense. And shrug it off. I again never threw a punch in my life. That did not feel like the time to do it. Maybe he just was one and done. No, 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 no. 5, 10 minutes goes by, talking to my friends again. All of a sudden, it happens a little bit harder, and that's that's what my heart was doing at that point. I didn't know what to do, though. So I'm in 6th grade, and my brother's in 8th grade. And I guess, he had that eagle eye for his little brother. And, 2 minutes probably go by after that, and it happens one more time, and I feel a tap on my shoulder. Couple seconds later, it's my brother, whispers into my ear, "Hey, the next time he does that, you better do something about it. Throw hands, do whatever you have to, hit his face." I was like, all right, okay, I got this. So I'm waiting. I told my friends, because we were talking, I was like, everyone stop. I was like, watch this. So, hey, like a moth to a flame, as some of my good buddies back at a certain area that we all love and great surrounding area would say, like a moth to a flame. He did it for the 4th time, and I turned around, stood up on that bus seat, and just started throwing left, right, left, right, left, right. And for your first fight, that's a sick combination. But I was getting angrier. I wanted to make this guy regret everything that he had done for the past 30-minute bus ride out of the. It wasn't the 30 minutes of that bus ride. My bus ride was like an hour and a half long if there was no traffic in San Antonio, Texas. And I am just throwing haymakers. And honestly, I hit him in the lip a couple times. I think that's the only reason why there was blood, because lips are sensitive, Other than that, he didn't have a black eye. He didn't, have to go get stitches or anything. But in my heart, I felt like it. And so to really seal it off, again, never been in a fight before, I got a little disrespectful with it. I decided to spit on the guy. So I do it. And I hear, "Oh, he just spit on him." And so guess what? I did it again. And, I kind of felt like it was done. I felt like I had won. I felt like I did a good job. At this point, he could only hold his arms above his head and try and protect himself. And I got some, good fish shots in there, and I got some good spit shots in there. And for me, again, that was my first fight. So what do? Turn around, sat down, and talked to my friends like nothing happened. That's it. I figured it was done. And quickly right after that, it was he had stood up, and the problem is I had to turn around to hit him. So when I turn back around, now it's like the back of me that he is full punch and authority over. But again, guess what? Yeah, you're behind me, but who's behind you, buddy? So he hit me in the cheek, and then was throwing another one, and I see his arm just get tossed back. Forced to get sat down, and it was my middle brother that was in 8th grade, because then I have older brothers in high school, but it was my middle brother and his friends, and they just sat him down for the rest of his ride home, and walked behind him on the bus when he got off, and then walked back, and I felt like the champ, the dog I had beat up in 8th grade. Rumors were flying. Oh, that's Calvin. That man throws hand. No, they weren't. It wasn't like that at all. But people knew I stood up for myself, and that's where my friends gained more appreciation of me. Again, I was really sheltered growing up. Didn't really know. I knew if something was bad if my heart started pounding, and a lot of that was that that nervousness, oh, something's not right. And after that, I started to open up. I started to blossom as this, oh, this is what the real world's like. You get picked on. If you don't do anything about it, you're gonna keep getting picked on. Again, pretty naive kid. So next day of school shows up. Get on the bus. Kid's already on there. Bus driver has him sit in the front. I'm allowed to go where my friends are sitting. No problems. I'm not even thinking of anything. Like, I didn't know that, getting in a fight, the whole school's going to talk about it. I didn't know that what what I had done, that there was going to be consequences at a public school with thousands of kids. I didn't know. So we're pulling up to the school, and there she is. Yeah, yup. You can already see what I'm saying right now. The curly hair, the reddest lipstick you've ever seen in your life. Either a gray top and a black skirt, or just a black longish dress or something. Curly hair. I don't know if I already said that, but curly hair. Chewing her gum louder than ever. And then that classic walkie-talkie. And I'm not talking about the principal. I'm talking about that vice principal. Yeah, waiting. And I don't know. I didn't think anything of it, but I noticed it. And it felt a little strange, so I knew something was off. Didn't think too much of it, though. So, walking off the bus. The kid that sat in the front, he was already pulled to the side. I said, oh, okay, I guess, he's in trouble or something. Don't know why. And I'm walking off the bus, and she goes, Calvin, can you come here as well? And I said, oh. Now, thank goodness I'm not taking those heartbeats as like, oh, I need to punch her too. No, that wasn't it at all. I was literally scared. I don't think you could have ever been more nervous than anybody. And I think for a matter of science and facts, that nobody else was ever nervous for that whole 24 hours, because I took everyone's butterflies. I took it like a champ. I was the most nervous person in the whole entire world. Never been in trouble. And like this was that time. This is for me to learn what happens when you do the right thing that you believe. I mean, your brother tells you it's the right thing. Your friends, appreciate you more, so that makes you feel a little bit cooler. And so, marching us down to the office. It was kind of weird because like we're just walking next to each other. Maybe we should have just fought again. I don't know. So, walking down, and they sit me down in the seat next to the I don't even know, one of the assistants for the vice principal and the principal, and he goes in first, and he walks out. Dad's right out there, and I can tell his dad's like pissed, but not like, oh, you were picking on somebody pissed, like was gonna take it home type pissed. And I felt bad for the kid. I didn't know what sympathy or empathy were, but like I could tell that his dad looked like a mean guy. That's pretty much what I got from that. He looks mean. He's probably mean. And so then I get called into the office, and I don't know what to expect. I'm probably literally shaking at this point because, again, I've never been in trouble. So she calls me in, sits me down. She goes, Calvin, I watched the bus footage. Him bashing your head against the wall 3 times, or against the window 3 times. That's, I just want to commend you for doing the right thing and not hitting him back. And boy, if I was not honest at that time, that would have been a life lesson not learned, I should say. I looked at her, and with the most polite Texas manners, and shout out to Texas, we always have the best manners. We have that Southern comfort, that drawl when you're talking about y'all. Anyways, I said, no, ma'am. I actually, it was 4 times that he hit my head against the window, and the 4th time I lost it, and I did hit him a bunch of times. And I even went as far as telling her I also spit on him 2 times. I didn't know that she didn't have all the time in the world to watch the whole thing, so she made up her conclusion of, oh, yep, he got picked on. Okay, that's what happened. No, I ratted on myself. She had to watch the rest of it. And the school's rules for Any altercation is if you even defend yourself, you have to also get in school suspension. And looking back at it now, it's why would you put two people that got in a fight on a punishment together where you're quiet in a room all day, you're both pissed off at each other. Because the first 2 days was like that, and we got it both for a week. Um, and all of a sudden, we showed day three. Day three was a little different because it wasn't the same normal grouchy person that was the yeah, I would want to say teacher for, but like it was more like a supervisor watching us, I guess, because they weren't like a teacher for the course, but like it was like volunteer based, like for the substitute teachers, I guess. So they are teachers, but substitute teachers would volunteer for it, and like we had like a super grouchy person at first, and then all of a sudden it was like it was this it was this woman who seemed happy. And in inter-school suspension, you can't be happy. Them's the rules. You do your homework, you do your schoolwork that you're missing out that whole week, and when you get done, that teacher gives you more things to do. You don't catch up in your work that for the next week. No, you get tasked more and more. So if you're super productive, I must have knocked out like 30 assignments day 2. 27 assignments day 1. I'm at 57 and I'm just getting my butt kicked because I know how hard my dad worked in his life from what I've observed, and I'm trying to do the best. I thought maybe like, hey, oh, if I do this next one, they're gonna stop this whole week of inter-school suspension. No, so she seems happy, and we the bell rings. Period 1, day 3, kind of weird because there's somebody happy in this room. I know I'm going to do a lot more assignments. The person I was in there with, I got in a fight with. He did his assignments. Like he literally just would go as slow as possible. Probably been there before, done that before, knew the system, and period starts. Principal walks in. Make sure we're all here. Talks to the teacher. Hey, any problems, you let me know. Or you hit that red button and that policeman will just run in here and stop whatever happens. And he leaves. And she goes, all right, listen. Why are y'all here? So we kind of looked at each other and, it was kind of awkward, but we both kind of chuckled a little bit. And we told her what happened, and she's like, so all right. She started with me because I was younger. She's like, why did you wait 4 times, and then on the 4th one it was okay to hit him? Why not the 3rd, or what about the 5th or 6th or something? And just getting us to think, not saying it's okay to hit somebody, but if you're from Texas and you get hit, you gotta hit back. But everyone's beliefs are different, and I see where the school is coming in to this, because if you're trying to track 4,000 kids, if you make it okay to defend yourself, then you got half the school fighting each other, half of them are suspended, and then the other half aren't, and then you got people that don't want any conflict anyways. So I get it. But anyways, so we just talked through it, and she goes, well, how did that make you feel the first time it happened? I told her, I was like, honestly, man, like I felt shocked. I didn't know like what was going on. He was laughing, his friends were laughing. It was kind of weird, but like I just turned around. I didn't think anything of it. The second time it happened, that's where I felt, yeah, not good. And that's when my heart started pounding. And she goes, what else? And I was like, well, that's, the first time I've been through something like this. I'm not talking this well. I'm stuttering, stumbling. Like, I don't know how to effectively communicate. A lot of this is like looking back into it, but, I'm paraphrasing with more words on what I should have said. So if you're like, oh, he's embellishing the story, yeah, probably, buddy. I don't care. And you shouldn't either. If that's what you're thinking about, you know where that stop listening button is, or next, or hey, Spotify DJ, play that new hit. So, anyways, and I go through that, and then I get to hear this kid open up. She goes, "So why were you picking on him?" And then he started opening up about how he got bullied when he was in 6th grade, and he doesn't get bullied now at school, but like his family life wasn't the best, and he kind of opened up, and I was like, "Damn, like, ooh, brother, like." I thought I had it bad because my head hit the window a couple times. Like, this kid has to come home to some things, and it's not that. It's like my level of bullying from my siblings was like they hogged the Xbox. Like, this guy, like, you know, literally just getting degraded by like some of his family members, and it was just like a unique experience and an eye-opening one where this teacher could have just done what the other teacher had done. You're gonna do assignments, blah blah blah, and just keep the system rolling. But she got us to open up, and after that, like like during lunchtime, because she had to enforce some rules, and so we'd start every day, and she did it for the rest of our simultaneously interschool suspension. Uh, she would let us, conversate with her in the morning, talk about the news, talk about whatever we wanted to. If we still had hard feelings, like she'd say, "Hey, like, no fighting, but like let's talk about it." And it was so cool because it was like me and this guy, uh, my first bully, we became friends. During lunch on accident, like I was opening up a ketchup packet and squirted everywhere, went into electrical socket, and yeah, I mean, we just both thought it was funny. And then all of a sudden, the next day, I did it again on accident. And she thought I did it on purpose the second time. I was like, "Ma'am, no, I'm not that kid. Like, this is my first time getting in trouble. I'm not trying to get in trouble again. I don't want a longer interschool suspension, although it would be cool with you." So at lunch, she let us, just be normal kids. We weren't bad. We just were figuring life out. And shout out to her, huge influence. She might not have thought that she was doing something that was so important. Maybe she knew what was going on, but regardless, huge shout out to her. Again, I'm not gonna say people's names. Yeah, and that was my first time getting in trouble, and that was my first middle school fight. Oof. I would love to tell you, hey, after that, squeaky clean. Never went to the principal's office again. Till 7th grade happened. The next time I go to the principal's office, completely different circumstances. We had the Scholastic Book Fair in town, in the library, with the coolest books, with the coolest toys, that pointer stick that with that Mickey Mouse hand, but it had 5 fingers. I mean, the laser pointers, the scented highlighters, the Diary of a Wimpy Kid books, Captain Underpants books, and me and my friend just hanging out, walking around, and he bought one of the scented highlighters, and we had like 15 minutes to shop. My parents didn't give me any money. If they did, they would have to give 5 other kids money, and they taught us to we had to work for our money, and I'll get to that later. And so, we're in 7th grade, and we get back to our English class, and funny enough, we had a substitute teacher, different one, and I asked my buddy, I was like, "Hey, man, can I sniff that highlighter?" He's like, "Yeah." So I take off that blueberry cap, the blue one, and I start probably not that exaggerated. I was just sniffing the highlighter, guys. So just start sniffing the highlighter, and I see that she is just staring at me. And there's a green highlighter. This one was scented apple. I gotta smell what that smells like. All right, cool. Close the blueberry one with the blue cap. Open up the green one. Sniff into that one like it was normal. And all of a sudden, I don't see her anymore. Uh-oh. Boom. Grabs my arm. Snatches the highlighter out of my hand. She goes, "You're coming with me. Grab your backpack." She had to let go so I could grab my backpack. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to walk with her. No, grabs my arm again. And we start marching down to the principal's office. We march down, heart pounding, everybody. Don't know what's going on. I was just trying to enjoy my buddy's scented highlighter that we were sniffing. It was non-toxic, like you can't get high from it, and only figured that out because I had to go talk to the school principal. School principal. I'm in his office, um, and he's like, "All right, so this is what she is thinking that you're doing. Can you tell me more about it?" And I'm like, my buddy, he bought a scented highlighter from the Scholastic Book Fair, and this guy just started laughing immediately. He was really cracking up, and he's like, he goes over to Scholastic Book Fair, walks me not into the library but right outside of it, comes back out with one. Is it one of these? I was like, yes, sir. And he walks back in, gives it back to them. Walks me back to the office, and he's like, all right, man. Yeah, I don't think he said man. And he said, all right, so she thought that you were doing this with a permanent marker or like an expo marker. She didn't know it was like a non-toxic scented highlighter. Um, and I asked him, I was like, why, sir, like, why would that get me in trouble? Like, if it was a different marker. Turns out some of us hooligans are out there sniffing permanent markers to get high. Or expo markers. I didn't even know what getting high was, everybody. I don't even know what drugs are. When I signed those pledges saying no to drugs, I meant it. And I still mean it to this day, baby. Unless it's prescribed by a doctor. Hey, you do you. Doctors know what they're doing. I don't know what I'm doing. But what I did know what I wasn't doing was drugs. And I meant it. And I still mean it. So yeah, there I am, figuring out from this principle that people like to get high off of markers. And that's what this teacher thought I was doing. I'm not mad at her. Honestly, she was just doing what the best interest for me was. And at the time, it looked like I was trying to get high in the middle of an English class. And yeah, being the most innocent child there, you would try and want to help that kid out too before they made bad decisions. And yeah, the seventh grade year was also a weird time because I tried to step out more as that class clown, and you tell a million jokes, and a million of them are unfunny because you don't know what humor is, what punchlines, timing, comedic timing is the best. Man, I wish I knew those things because I would have crushed it. If I could run it back, I still wouldn't learn so much from today because of yesterday. So yeah, that was my second time getting in trouble for my middle school career. I'm averaging one a year, so I'm like, all right, can't get in trouble again. And I did get in trouble. And this one, shame on me. This one, I wanted to be cool. I was stepping out more. All right, people are being mean to me. I'm going to be mean back. But I wasn't being mean to the right person. And also being mean is never cool. So, it's gym class. One of my starting to become a new friend cuts in front of me in the kickball game. And I say, hey, buddy. I didn't say buddy. I'm not going to say his name, though. You cut me. He goes, yeah, what are you going to do about it? I was like, all right. Cut in front of him. We get a little shoving match. I get in front. I start picking on him for like the rest of the class. The PE class that we're doing. Feeling cool. Other kids are laughing. And yeah, he told the principal on me. And again, I'm walking through the hallways, and this the vice principal, again, chewing her gum, loud as ever, classic. Thank you for that. Looks at me. She gives me these, I want to say a glare, but not a death stare, but like haughty eyes, like that stare down, that Texas Western, shootout stare down. She goes, I'm just so disappointed in you. I was like, man, what are you talking about? Completely forgot that that had ever occurred. Like, again, don't know what I'm doing. So, yeah, turns out, got called in again. And, yeah, being a bully, not cool, everybody. Don't do it. Me and him, I wrote him and his family a letter. I felt so bad. My idea. I wasn't forced to. I wrote them a letter on, the circumstances and how I was trying to be cool and how uncool it was for me to bully him. And he accepted the apology. The vice principal did say that she don't think that we could be friends again. And I think that might be the literal only reason why we never talked again. But hey, that is what it is. It's in the past. Shout out to him. Sorry for that, brother. I'm not perfect. Should have just let you cut me, or just simply just been like, hey man, you cut me. Can I get in front of you? Anyways, again, we're middle schoolers. Yeah, and then eighth grade one more time. I'll wrap this one up quickly, and we'll go on to high school. It's a little bit better, and then college, which is the best. We all love college. So I'm in a eighth grade theater arts class. I was so late on turning in that paperwork on what electives you want to do. I didn't really care. They're all the same. Didn't want to do them, and yeah, I'm in a theater arts class for about halfway through the year, almost like not summer break because that ends into the next year, but spring break. It's almost spring break, and we're going to have a pre-spring break, show. Every theater arts class that she taught was going to do they were going to do skits or songs and dances of the whole class wanted to do one together. Sick, awesome, cool. You can all do one together. If you want to do your own solo, cool, go ahead. But you had to be in the theater arts class to do it. This wasn't like a tryout thing where anyone could do it. No. This was like you had to be in theater arts, and it was for like a midterm grade, I guess. I'm not the most athletic. I'm not the most capable. I played sixth grade football. Go to seventh grade football. B team. Shout out to B team. Work harder, guys. You can do it. And yeah, so I'm trying to learn this dance. And if you know anything about me, my hips do not move, and to this day they still don't. You think I'd have learned a lesson or two, and all of a sudden I feel that death stare on me again, and I'm like, what is going on? This is weird. I feel like, and then I start dancing a little bit worse, if that's even possible. And all of a sudden, she starts marching towards me. She goes between two students, excuse me, and she doesn't push them, but she walks through them, grabs my arm, takes me back to the theater arts class because we were trying to learn this dance in the cafeteria where there was the stage, and she grabs my backpack and marches me to the nurse's office. I don't know what's going on. She talks to the nurse while I wait a little bit outside, has my backpack, tells me to go in the nurse's office, and she walks off with my backpack. And, nurse checks my vitals, does this, and she goes, hey, we got to call your parents, and then I can return you back to class. And parents never answer the phone, thank goodness. I was able to tell them before they heard a message on the whole situation. But yeah, sometimes people think more of you when you're not a good dancer, and they think you're the one to groove on the floor, to break it down. And turns out what we did to fix my inability to dance was we made me the robot in there, so I could only move so many things and not have to move my hips. And that was creative thinking. And both of those teachers came up to me and apologized after. And again, no hard grudges. If in this time frame, a teacher grabbing your arm wasn't unheard of nowadays. Oh my goodness, would you be fired 10 times in a row and never be able to show your face around any school district again or any shopping mall and see a parent? Shout out to teachers these days. Y'all go through so much, and don't know what they're all getting paid, but it should be more because my parents had 6 kids, and whew, we put them through the ringer. So if you got like 32 kids every hour on the hour coming in, and you get like a 30-minute lunch break because your next one you gotta prep the next class for, and or sometimes teachers had to switch rooms because there wasn't enough rooms at the time to have a clear schedule. So it was almost like this Hogwarts moving rooms thing. So shout out to what they go through, and yeah, I mean that was my middle school experience. Then I get to high school, and I'm supposed to go to high school with all my friends that I already had. And I go my freshman year. We moved houses, and we thought I was still going to be able to go to the high school with all my friends, and it turns out that doesn't happen. So I have to start off from ground zero, and I found myself starting off from ground zero a lot. But what do? Hey, I gotta. My first day of new school, the goal from that point at high school was, all right, make one friend, you'll be good. Got to my third period English class. Shout out to my boy, you know who you are, with that one English teacher who was bald and has a twin brother. Me and you really, there was a bingo game where you had to get to know each other, the whole class, and we wrote my name down on his card, and I wrote his name down on every single bingo slot of our card. And we yelled bingo on round number one. We yelled bingo, and he was like, the teacher finally caught on like the third time we said bingo, and it was funny, and that was my first friend at that school. Um, but yeah, I didn't have a clique, I didn't have a posse, I didn't, but I kind of talked to whoever I could. It was just, I mean, it was a high school with 5,000-6,000 kids, 5A class school. Got onto the freshman football team again. JV B team. Shout out to the B team guys. Whew, boy, did we put in some work. Uh, we were the varsities hitting dummies. They give you that awkward shaped square pad, and this grown man that had failed his freshman year twice, still eligible to play in Texas, running at you Mach 9, and you're like, oh no, and he hits you, and honestly the pad hitting your body and your arms getting crunched in your shoulder pads felt better than you falling back and then the ground hitting you, ground almost knocking you out, getting dizzy. And yeah, yeah, that was freshman year. I was acting up more. People thought I was funnier. Still not a popular kid though. I couldn't fit in with that crowd, and sometimes tried to, try to be not who I was, but always came back to who I was. And I had good friends being like, "Hey, man, come on, don't say that, don't do that. You're not that person." And yeah, got picked on by the popular kids. They'd spit on my lock, put lotion like in that locker hole in like before football practice, before I walked in, so that like when I pull out my uniform, it's covered in lotion. Go wash it off. I'm soaking wet. I got bullied in high school too. Just because I was a new kid and a big head. Yeah, but it was what it was, and I got to hit people for it at football practice. I was fine. When it came to the freshman versus freshman, and these guys hit hard too. Shout out to them. Holy shit, I had to learn, but hey, it was all learning moments, and I was just angry freshman, 120 pounds soaking wet with a chip on his shoulder, and just loved football, lived it, wanted to know more. Again, B team though, not the best, not fast, definitely not a fast kid, but yeah, being on that football team, it meant something because I didn't quit. Yeah, and I don't recall getting in any fights in my freshman year. Close calls, but it was what it was. Sophomore year goes by, and found some people to hang out with. My freshman friends were, some people quit football, and I couldn't talk to them. Schedules. If you don't have one class to each other, goodbye, buddy. Goodbye. If you're on the football team, you at least have that together, guaranteed lockdown. Um, Yeah, started. That's really when I had my first girl problem. Too. I was talking to this girl, and having a, like a talkationship, getting to know each other, and I told her, I was like, hey, I like you, and she told me I like you too. Go to football practice. Literally after this conversation, gonna ask her out the next day. And one of my boys, one of the other linebackers, because I was a linebacker too. I know, 120-pound linebacker, scary, make you want to kind of poop your pants a little bit, especially when he's just angry. Anyways, he walks up to me and goes, "Hey man, I gotta let you know something." He goes, "Me and her have been talking, um, and I'm gonna ask her out." And I was like, he was like, "Me and her talked about you. She said that she would date me over you." And I was like, "Cool, brother. All right." Me and him were friends. I'm not gonna ruin my friendship over this girl that when there's like 3,000 other girls that I could talk to. And this girl, she, walked out. Next day happens. She's waiting for me at the bus stop. Walked past her, and I think she knew that I found out. And get out of my first period class that day, and she comes up to me. And again, I didn't I was so sheltered as a kid. Like these are all new experiences to me coming, year after year. Where I got like an experience a year. With things, and sometimes I acted better, and I just told her, I was like, why didn't you just tell me that you like this dude more? I don't. We're not getting married, and she was like, can we still be friends? I was like, yeah, sure. Never talked to her again. But yeah, that was my first girl problem. I was like kind of think about it during that football practice of those conversations that we had, getting to know each other, and then but it was nothing too crazy. Got a girlfriend that year. Uh, yeah, different girl, completely different girl, and just dated till summer, broke up with her, got her to break up with me actually. Um, Shout out. I was in theater arts again at this time, which is funny because, again, I suck at turning in those slips for you to choose your elective. I had a friend that was a mutual friend with her, and I hit her up, and I was like, hey, listen. I hit her up texting her. I texted her. I was like, hey, don't send her this part of the text message. Delete these, but show her everything else from on. She said, okay. I was like, hey, I want to, I think that, this isn't going well. Dropping the hints that I'm about to dump my girlfriend. I didn't want to be rude. So, girlfriend sends me a screenshot of my text message that I send to the girl. She dumps me. Boom. Free. Summer's here. Good to go. Didn't really do anything all summer. Every summer, I was working at my dad's store from time to time in San Antonio, Texas, downtown Riverwalk at the River Center Mall. And, I wasn't like this crazy kid. I'm not like going out there, pretty conservative kid growing up. Still have not done drugs. Still to this day have not done drugs. But yeah, that was my sophomore year, junior year. Well, that summer, it's kind of a good thing that we broke up. But that summer, most of my siblings were in college at that point, and there was a high school, a Christian public or private high school that was right next to the college. And my dad sent me over. This is going from Texas to Virginia, from a really big high school to a high school that has a graduating class of like maybe 150 at most. I don't know if it's more or less, but it's not much more or less if it is. So yeah, I tore it, and they interview me, and the interview goes really well, and they're like, okay, you just gotta do one more thing, and then we can see if we can accept you or not. You gotta take this test. It goes over math, English, and science, and then it gives you a bunch of questions from the other subjects that we offer here at this high school. I'm a, A B type student. C here and there. if I had a D, it would be a C before at the end, coming in clutch. And so I'm like, yeah, cool. They said, hey, it's a time test. I said, okay, how much time do I have on it? And these two ladies look at me and they're like, we don't know. We forgot. So when that timer started and I didn't know when it was going to end, it didn't count down backwards. It counted forwards. Don't know why. I took that test in about 12 minutes. And the results come back and they call me and my mom in. And they're like, this is kind of concerning. It says you have the reading and writing level of a fifth grader. You did kind of well in these subjects, and you didn't do too well in these subjects, blah, blah, blah. You got some of these, and you should have got some of these, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, but what we think this is that because you thought you knew it was timed and you rushed it. And I said, yes, ma'am. I rushed it. I was reading those questions, everybody. I was reading them, and I looked at the answers, and I didn't know, and I didn't want to waste time, so I just went to the next one. Guys, my junior year of high school at this prestigious private Christian school, I had a fifth grade reading and writing level. There was no Chat GPT. That was blood, sweat, and tears of me getting a B in that English class. There was no reading classes. But if there was, oh man. There were reading assignments that we had to do. That was easy. But yeah, going into my junior year of high school with a fifth grade reading and writing level, probably not the coolest thing. But you would never been able to tell for the work I put in. So yeah, Virginia. Went from this one school where, I was, kind of cool with everybody. Had a small close group, and then go to this new school. And that day one, I could not make a friend. I was just quiet. I saw how everyone acted, and the prejudice on me for thinking that they're all the same. They all mommy daddy boys. They never had a hard day of school in their life, and some of them were like that. Some of them were, but it wasn't everybody. It was a small group of people that made the whole school seem like that. And I really didn't open up. I just did my homework, did my assignments, and I went home, played Rainbow Six Siege. When GTA 5 was already out, but when I played that too. And I went tried out for the football team. They have to let you play anyways. Low key. Got on to it. Was again never a starter. Second string would be cool at that position because this team was good at football in the state of Virginia. Especially for the size of the team. Oh my goodness, these guys were good. But yeah, I kind of got bullied by the football team, and it put a bad taste in my mouth. But like it was nothing that I've never seen before, and I knew that hey, this is life. Who cares? And yeah, you stand up to do an assignment, and all of a sudden you hear in the background, who is that? Like I was like a nobody at this school, even for my senior year too. Like my junior year, more towards the end, I met this girl, and we started dating, and I knew of this one guy who ended up being one of the bestest friends I could ever ask for, and the next year I found my second best friend who is also a great guy, and we still talk to this day. But I had that small group that I needed to just vent to somebody. I mean, was life hard? No. But I still needed that. And yes, senior years goes by. She wasn't my girlfriend yet at the time, but we were talking pretty hard, pretty heavy. Super sweet girl from born in Florida but raised in Virginia. Cheerleader, and dating a third, fourth string linebacker slash acting running back on the practice squad, and the senior trip comes up. And I think, oh man, when those fireworks show happens on that last day and me and her are watching it, I'm going to ask her to be my girlfriend. Last day happens, I'm too much of a chicken. But what I did do was on the whole bus ride back, I held her hand. Yep, sure did. Sure did hold her hand. Get back from the senior trip, me and her hanging out a lot more. She can drive, I can't. I don't have a license. Never really thought about driving. I'm like, I don't know, 16, turning 17. Not cool. But she would drive everywhere, and she kind of taught me some lessons on how to drive. She sure did. Yep. And I was really bad at it, especially at night. I'm driving in the center of a 2-lane road. I would like to tell you that they're both going the same way, and she'd freak out. I'm like, oh, no, it's fine. No one else is coming. Meanwhile, I don't know how to steer the car that well, but I can't tell her I don't know how to do that. some good times. Yeah, kind of stayed out of trouble. Was in the principal's office just more for like things that could have happened, but like talking through it with the principal and like, hey, like, yeah, this is going on. Me and him like got into a little bit during during lunch, but it was just an argument. Like, I'm not gonna fight the kid, and he's not gonna throw a punch back. Like, it was what it was, Senior year was a lot better, though, because I had that group to where, I had friends. Ate lunch with each other all the time. I was on the wrestling team my senior year. Also junior year. Did not do well my junior year. Did a little bit better my senior year. Only wrestled for 2 years. But that was another onesies, twosies of friends that I had. And, yeah, we just kind of all realized, like, this is going to be done soon, and we're going to go to college. College administration, not college administration, but the career counselor that helps you get into colleges sets an appointment up with me, and he goes, "What do you want to do?" And I was like, "Well, I want to be in the Army." He's like, "Great, ROTC. You'll do 4 years of college, and then you have to do like 4 to 6 years. I think it was 4 years at the time. It's 6 years now that you have to do after ROTC, depending on the school, the program, and the contract that you sign." But anyways, yeah. So go talk to my dad. He's in the Army, and we get on that ROTC website where you select 5 schools that you want a scholarship from, and we did the big 4 and one as a shot in the dark. And so I went to VMI to tour. I didn't go to VMI as a student, nope. And interviewed with them. Did not go well. Thank goodness my dad did not walk in the interview room with me, because he would have been disappointed. Stuttering, stumbling. They're asking questions about I thought this interview would have been like, so, okay, you did wrestling for 2 years. Why didn't you wrestle for 4 years in high school or more? I thought I could have been like, well, they didn't offer it at the high school that I went to, but they did it here. So I wanted to do something new. I thought it was going to be more like, you did football like your whole entire high school career. You did it in middle school as well. Blah, blah, blah. No, this is like, hey, what does this acronym stand for? Hey, you're in this situation. What do you do? And, got completely rejected from VMI. Don't think they made a wrong choice. But yeah, that happened. Toward James Madison University. They did not give me a full ride scholarship, but they did offer me a walk-on position for the ROTC program. But I was pretty competitive. I graduated 3.5 GPA. I sucked at taking the ACT, SAT. Where I scored was like the average part of all kids do. And when I took it, I took the SAT first. And I was like, oh, you're going to take the ACT next? And you're going to crush it. Take the ACT. similar score. If you transferred it over, same score. They're like, okay, take the SAT again. You've been studying, you've been practicing, you know it's coming. Take that. They're like, okay. My parents are like, one more attempt, we're gonna get you tutoring. Pay for my tutoring, all the scores for the practice tests. Say I'm gonna max this out, baby. Take the score, same thing. It was what it was. My dad was like, do you even want to take it again? I'm like, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I've done pretty well through my academics. Don't I could have gotten higher if I cared more my sophomore freshman years of high school, but it was what it was, and I felt pretty confident. I wasn't a starter in like anything athletic wise, but like I worked hard, and I felt like I earned a full ride scholarship, and yeah, didn't even hear from the other schools I picked. Don't even remember what they were, and that shot in the dark college sends me an email, and we're about 2 months away from graduating, and I respond. Don't know what that response was, and then the NCOIC, the what's the best way to put it? NCOIC, the one of the enlisted NCOs in charge of this program asked for an interview date and calls me up and he goes, "Hey man, so you've been doing football for 4 years? That's great. How'd you like it? What position were you?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm a linebacker, and for the practice squad, I'm a running back." I was like, "I'm not a starter, but like I work hard." He's like, "Oh, dude, same. I was a safety and like a whatever. Like I think he was like, yeah, I think he was also a running back." He's like, I get it, dude. And like we talked as if we were two human beings. And he goes, "Hey man, I just need one of your PT, not PT, sorry, one of your physical education teachers to give you this test and send me the results. Just so you know, like, yeah, you can talk to him, say, hey, can you bump these scores up? But we'll know when you get here." I was like, "Sir, like, I didn't know to call him sergeant. I was like, "Sir, like, I would never do that. Like, trust me, you're gonna be impressed with these scores." And he was, and they offered me that full ride scholarship to University of Alaska Anchorage, baby. Go Sea Wolves. I think they were Sea Wolves. Might have been Sea Dragons. No, they were Sea Wolves. Again, 40% sure, 100% sure, 40% sure, 100% sure, 100% times, 40% times on this one. And yeah, so got to break the news to my girlfriend at the time. And I'm like, I don't know how to break the news to her. So I was like, "Hey, I got a full ride scholarship to University of Alaska, Anchorage. I'm taking the scholarship." And thinking that she was going to leave me, she stayed. And that's when I saw something in her. I was like, wow, like, is this young love where, that we're going to grow apart, or is this starting something? And that was the first goodbye hug that I had where my stomach hurt. I thought I was never going to see this girl again. I was in love. And, we say goodbye. I'm holding it in. I'm being a man. Men don't cry, especially in front of their girlfriends. And the second she left, my poor brother had to, because he got a scholarship up there too. He was already in college, but transferred over, full ride as well. And for our OTC, I should mention. And there I was, embarking on a journey of, first of all, never been to Alaska, only heard about it, and I'm about to go start another new thing, which is called college. And wow, when it comes to me being in certain circumstances, yeah, I'm not thriving. I shut down. I wasn't that 3.5 semi-athletic kid that everyone knew, the happy-go-lucky, positive kid. I just played Rainbow Six Siege and stopped going to classes. My birthday was a particularly weird day because I'm walking on the campus And so I'm just walking on the campus, and there's a red light for the cars and a crosswalk for me. The white lights of that man are on. I start walking, and all of a sudden, a car hits me. Now, not demolishes me. Obviously, I survived. If you can't tell, it hits me and knocks me over right in front of one of the campus police. I get up, bang on the hood, point at the cop. Hey, cop just drives off. Look, me just staring at this person that hit me with their car. And I was like, well, okay. And I go to class. It was weird. It was like, well, that's a really crappy way to start your birthday. Um, Staying up all night talking to my girlfriend in Virginia because the time zones were so different. Waking up in the morning, she's going to bed, always missing each other, it felt like, on phone calls. Of course, we miss each other. And yeah, it was more adversity that I was putting myself through. But another thing about college was I didn't know what I wanted to study, so I was undeclared. I didn't have a reason to be there besides ROTC. And, I was going through me and my dad talked multiple times, like, I should do this, and I should have. I still have those interests in my heart to this day. I couldn't find something that I wanted to do. And, it just ended up me not going to classes. And, yeah, my parents, for Christmas break, buy my ticket to go visit them. And when I got off that plane and I picked up my bags, my dad was like, why'd you pack so much? Because I thought I did what you call drop out. Turns out, when you drop out, you go to the administration office where they're in charge of all the credits and all of this and that, and you tell them, hey, I'm done. Turns out you don't go throughout the rest of the year where they dock more of your points, and you end up your first time with a 0.0 something GPA. And my dad, he's like, all right, so it's Christmas time. You got to figure out what you're gonna do. You can't stay here. It won't be long. But you got to figure out what you got to do. And me and him were in this weird toxic phase where I think I know I'm right, but he's actually right. 100%. See it to this day. So I was, worked at Office or not Office Max. I tried to find jobs, couldn't get hired. He did see that I was trying to get hired somewhere, and then summer was coming up, and I grew up going to a summer camp, and I just volunteered to be a camp counselor that year, and it just worked out. They interviewed me, went great at a Christian summer camp in East Tennessee. Loved that place. The people I met there were the realest people I ever met my whole entire life to this day. When it comes to spiritual awareness and where you're at in your life, and accountability, they're huge on. And I need to hit them up. I call so many other people that because I'm in the Army. Again, this is not Army, approved or not approved. This is not this is not the Army's opinion on anything. Got to make that clear. But when it comes to spiritual awareness, I mean, these people were there. They were there for me in what I thought were hard times. So yeah, I was a camp counselor that summer for free, volunteered my time. But I wasn't living at my parents' house. I was living for free in these cabins, and being able to be a spiritual leader for these kids. And if I could do that for the rest of my life, what I felt at the time, although after every Saturday or Friday or Saturday the kids leave, and then that Sunday after church they're coming, and you feel like you get no rest. I would have done that for the rest of my life. I could have made that a career. And sometimes I think that what if I just did that for the rest of my life? Would have been probably pretty cool. Probably wouldn't be doing a podcast right now. Probably wouldn't have a lot of issues that I'm going through with personally when it comes to not feeling sympathy and empathy. I'm in the Army, but again, I'm not this Delta Force or Special Forces guy or Ranger guy. Pretty average guy. Never been on a combat deployment. Never been on a deployment. So I'm not saying I have these traumas. It's not that. It's just how I view the world right now. I have that chip on my shoulder again, like I'm 120 pounds, getting picked on in football practice, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna hit you harder now. Because if you think you're going through something hard and I don't see it that way, it's not that I don't want to see it your way. It's I can't for some reason, and I got to figure that out. And I got to work with my relationship on God again, because I remember how happy I used to be working at that summer camp. So yeah, and then summer's coming to an end, and my mom and I are talking, and she goes, "Hey, what about this college in Virginia? You're closer to home. You'll be in the dorms over there, and maybe this is your shot. Some of those people that you're friends with, they go to that college anyways. Like maybe you just go there." And I was like, and at the time I really thought like, okay, this is where I turn my life around. I have disappointed so many people at this point. Maybe I can turn this around and get my college degree. No, did not do that. Dropped out again. Oh, but you told the administration office that you're done. Nope. Just stop going. And, yeah. Craziest part was my high school girlfriend sees me drop out of college once, and then sees me drop out of college again, and stays with me. I mean, her dad is an anesthesiologist. Her mom was a small business owner. Her sister was like a PA or something. She went to JMU. But yeah, super successful family on the immediate side. And when it comes to her aunts and uncles, they were all super successful too. And now my dad's not going to let me live at his house. Fool him once. Fool him twice. No, that won't happen again. I lost credibility with him twice. And, it's a bad feeling to disappoint your father. And I knew I did. So what do? Do I open up? No. I shut down. I get angry. I get a little toxic. I try to make my parents' feelings hurt over stupid things, even though they did what they should have done. So I'm not allowed to, I could have stayed at their place, but it would have been under their rules. And I hit up two of my friends, said, "Hey, y'all still in the area?" Sorry, I already knew they were still in the area. I don't know why I said that. We all decided to get an apartment together. We all get an apartment together. One of them's working at a pizza joint. The other two of us, one's working. The other guy's working at Walmart, and I could not find a job, and rent was coming soon. And we got one of those guys' parents to co-sign for us, and then we put it that they two were cousins and damn near are. So yeah, we got an apartment together. Yeah, literally right down the street from my parents. My parents' house, and but yeah, like it was our spot, and girlfriend would come over all the time because she was doing college. She wanted to become a psychologist. Super smart, definitely capable, independent, 100%, and still with me. And I think shout out to Office Max for hiring me. When I interviewed, they could have hired more people that were better at Word, Microsoft, printing, knowledge about printers, and because I applied to Kroger to be a shelf stocker, and I'm not joking when I tell you they told me I was not qualified to work there. I don't know what the hell that means. saying I'm not qualified to work at Kroger. But I've worked so hard to this day that when I do decide to go into my next career move, maybe I just shoot that application over to see how about now. I wasn't overqualified. No, I was not qualified to be in that position. But Office Max, they saw something in me, and they made it possible for me to be on my feet, bare minimum. But it was that shot that I needed, and super thankful for them. That store is out of business now. I do know that all of them were secure jobs from other local businesses that took them in because of that store going down. They're most nicest people I ever met, and the best customer service 100% of the time. Boss had the coolest tattoos ever, for sure, guaranteed. And it felt like a family working out at Office Max. I mean, half the day you didn't have anyone coming in there because they were all going to Walmart, and the other half of the day we're having some great conversations. But I was kind of tired of living paycheck to paycheck. Turns out if you're just better with your money, you don't have to do that. And I'll explain that later on, maybe on a different podcast. But yeah, so I asked my buddy that's working at Walmart. I said, "Hey, you know me. You know how hard I work. Like, can you get me an interview?" So he talks to a store manager and gets me an interview. Interviews for 10 a.m. in the morning. 8 something in the morning. And yeah. Guess who both woke up at the same time of the interview? Me and my friend. I looked at him and I was like, oh, I messed up. I'm screwed. Drive over there. Try to go talk to store manager. The assistant store manager says, no, we'll just reschedule this. Don't worry about it. I said, no, I'm super worried about it. He's like, no, don't worry. It happens. It could just be a bad look. I'm leaving. They called me back. They said, hey, we don't think we're going to do the interview process. They ended up having to let go of a couple more people. And, shout out to, again, one of the greatest dudes alive. Talking to a store manager again, like, hey, this is a one-time mistake. And got me that interview and got the job. So now I'm working at Office Max and Walmart. I'm not getting a lot of sleep. Me and my girlfriend are arguing more and more because of the least amount of time that we've ever been able to see each other. Felt worse than Alaska. She's doing college. She's being super successful. I'm not jealous, but I do not feel as if I was enough for her. And I just thought to myself, like, what am I doing? So, I'm trying to balance these two jobs out, and, Office Max feels burned because I'm going to work for the competitors. They sent it up to the list. It was either they sent it up to their, headquarters for the HR saying, like, hey, are we allowed to tell them it's one or the other? Because I honestly probably would have picked Office Max because of what they've done for me. But HR came back and said, no, he's allowed to work at both. Yes, there are competition, but they blow us out of the park. Like, there's no competition anymore. And I was allowed to work at both, but they don't fire you. They just schedule you less and less and less. And, I felt it. Went to the Christmas party. And it was just a little different and a little awkward. And not saying they handled it wrong, but they needed somebody that was going to give it their all. And I think, I guess, looking, hindsight's always 20/20, but I did need another job because like I wasn't eating a lot of these days, and if I was eating, it was cookout, and now I'm gaining weight, I'm getting fat, and I wasn't doing anything with my life, so I felt. Now that like I'm older, it's okay to work at Walmart. It's okay to work at Office Max. It's okay to work at both. You're doing something. It might not be what you love. That's fine. You'll figure it out. And so there I am. I'm no longer working at Office Max, but I'm getting the hours I need at Walmart. They pay their minimum wage was a whole lot bigger than what Office Max could afford, but Office Max was exactly what I needed to survive. And But I'm so bad with my money. I'm getting more money, but I'm still living paycheck to paycheck because I don't know how to save money. It's like a finance school at that nice Christian private school, but like I didn't pay attention. I didn't want to learn. I didn't want to know. I just wanted to get the grades, get out, go to college, get the grades, graduate, get a job, be in the Army, whatever it was. And so I'm working Cap 2. I don't know if you know anything about Cap 2 or not, but if you're not aware of Cap 2, you are with the funniest, smartest debaters that you could ever have going on in your life. I mean, we would solve the world's problems unloading a box truck and sorting it out for one of the most successful Walmarts in the country. The theology the theology, the philosophy, the politics, and just the pure roast sessions. It was fun. Shout out to this Walmart because this Cap 2, I bet you still to this day, starts off every shift with the Walmart chant. And I was introduced to the Walmart chant when I first got hired and introduced to everybody. And they're like, hey, Calvin, we're going to do the Walmart chant. Just follow along. Give me a W. W, give me an A. A, give me an L. L, give me a squiggly. When they say squiggly, you don't just say squiggly. No. With your body, you do a little shimmy too. Give me an N. N, give me an A. A, give me an R. R, give me a T. T, what's that spell? Walmart. Whose Walmart is this? This is my Walmart. And who's always right? The customer, baby. We did that every day. And then we'd just go and load that truck. And these guys are the hardest working individuals. And, it was good to be around. But I wanted to do, not that I wasn't doing enough. I wanted to do something different. I wanted to do something different, but I didn't think it was the Army anymore because the RTC thing went by. I thought it's not the Army. I'll just try college normally. And then it wasn't college, but, I thought about doing trades. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know how to outsource and resource and talk to people and gain those connections as you can. And I'm talking to the Cap 2 guys. We'd play Uno every 15-minute break we got. And I'm not just saying we'd play for 15 minutes and pack up the cards. Sometimes we would. It really depends on the schedule of everyone. We usually have the same schedules. Sometimes one person would be off, but like somebody else could take his Uno deck and play off his cards. But we were all talking, and an older gentleman starts listening in on our conversation who also worked there. And, I was like, yeah, I kind of wanted to join the Army at one point. And then, was talking to him about my experience. And then he's just like, he's allowed to be in our conversation. We're not mean people. He goes, yeah, I was, when I was your age, I wanted to join the Army too. And I made it to the gas station before work that day, put 51 cents into the gas tank. When I asked for 51 cents into the gas tank, I was scrounging up change on my floor, and I got to the recruiter's office, and I was like, hey, I want to join the Army. I want to be infantry. And he goes, oh, what? Do you want to jump out of planes too? I said, yeah, that sounds great. And, that kind of, that started, who I was. And, you're going to hear a lot of these stories, and I might not tell it the same. Just know, there's a lot that has gone by since then. I've been in the Army 7 years now. I'm not going to remember everything perfectly. And some of these stories I could have told in more detail. But as you can tell from that first podcast, I'm going to repeat myself. So maybe I just tell a little bit better next time. you know? And yeah, wow, episode 2, everybody. So for this one, I want to let y'all know I'm already 40 minutes late because I said it was going to come out tonight. I should have said maybe, hey, this is going to come out at 1 in the morning or whenever I'm done editing it and doing what I want. But I just want to let you know, we got better. About a week and a half ago, maybe 2. I don't know how long it's been. A couple days ago, we could say. I got a DM on the Instagram page, my Instagram page. So I have my YouTube account set up. There's no videos on there right now, but there will be. I'll post 1 and 2 up. Right when I post 2 up on Spotify, 1 and 2 are going up on YouTube. So, a friend of mine from when I was first in recon, he was at E5. I was a private, so maybe not a friend, but an acquaintance, I would say, to this day. We still send memes to each other on Instagram. He sends me a DM, and I thought it was just gonna be a meme. I really thought it was just gonna be a meme on my Instagram page, not the podcast one, my personal one. He goes, "Hey man, is this your podcast?" It's like, "Yeah, dude." I was like, "Dude, that's awesome." My first podcast, I was talking about, I wanted somebody to find it before I told anybody. This is sick. I was like, "How'd you find it?" He goes, "Oh, it just came across my For You page on Instagram. Said people you might know. I saw your name." And I was like, I just had to ask if it was you. Funny question because I don't know how many Calvin Dittmeyers there are, especially it's spelled this way. But, it's a valid question, too, because maybe there is another Calvin Dittmeyer out there. And maybe we could get him on the podcast. And, he wasn't the first follower. Somebody else was. Somebody that I was never expecting. But, hey, listen. So I have my Instagram that you could reach out to. I don't know if you could reach out on Spotify. I doubt it. I have the YouTube account that you could drop a comment if you want to be on this podcast. But what I especially have is the email account. I have itgotworspodcast@gmail.com. If anybody wants to be on this podcast, hit me up. The goals for this are to get 2 nice sets of headphones to to hear better quality for my voice or whatever, and then so 2 headphones, 2 microphones, so both people can talk into a microphone, and then a video camera. Video camera is going to take the longest one. I want to get the perfect one. This mic is an older one, but I hope, and I will only know if you tell me if this mic is better or if I should just go back to the other one. So hopefully this one's better. But yeah, so shout out to my first Instagram follower. You know who you are. I never thought in a million years that, first of all, that I would ever start a podcast. But for who the first follower is, you should probably come on the podcast. I think that would be sick. And if you don't, that's cool. But yeah, I just wasn't expecting it. It wasn't the guy. And it's a cool story. And let's talk. Any of us, anybody listening to this, we can make it happen. Maybe I have to. I don't want to do Discord one, but maybe it is on Discord. I'm busy with my traveling. I actually leave to Austin at 10 a.m. today. I go to the airport at 5 a.m. because I have to be there early. I've always been like that. So I'm literally going to Austin, Texas tomorrow. Last podcast, I said I was flying drones. Doing way better at it today than I was January 31st. And hopefully I get more than 1 podcast out a month, but I think 1 a week with my schedule right now is probably going to be 1 a month. But hey, you know what? We're already at round 2. And it's just about not knocking myself down for not getting it done. It's about hyping myself up to get that next one done. Because of what can come from this, the stories, the laughs, whatever it is. Or if, you're just being nice to me and listening to it, means the world to me. Please stop. Let me be bad. If you hit me up and tell me I'm the worst, that's better than you lying to my face. And shout out to one of my boys who I told about it and immediately came with the critiques. I had to remind him a couple times because he was going a little hard in the paint. That I was just starting and I had to get it. I had to get it started. But what he was doing was making me better, and that's what I appreciate. I didn't take it offensively. I put my piece in there of hey, reminder, low key. Hey, brother, I just started. It was a gaming headset. That's why it sounds like this. It sounds like that. Like you hear my breathing. I sound congested. I have a deviated septum, but the army doesn't want to. Sorry, not the army. My doctor doesn't want to. He, who knows more than I do, I should also say, doesn't think it's a deviated septum. So we're trying some other things out. So hopefully that gets better. And or maybe it gets worse. And that again, thank you all for listening. If you did, if you didn't, you probably should. It's a good time. And okay, so the Instagram account IGW Podcast. The YouTube one's a little hard to find right now that I've learned from my friends that only have YouTube and not Spotify. So if you go to my Instagram, which we all probably have, you can then see the two links. There's the Spotify link on there, and then there is the YouTube link on there as well. I'll put my email in the bio. I should probably have done that before, but hey, I'm learning. And then Spotify, It Got Worse Podcast. And, tell me what you think about the logo. And, we can just... even if you don't want to be on the podcast and just reach out, give some critiques, whatever, cool. I'm about it. All right. Thank y'all for listening. I got to go pack for this trip now. My Uber comes in 4 hours and 14 minutes. So I'm going to just finish up, getting these uploaded. Y'all have a great night or the worst night of your life, and maybe we'll talk about it. Peace out.